Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of TBR, and I'm George Binns. And as you probably guessed, it's now election season, and there are 5 candidates running for the 3 seats of City Councilor at large. And we have with us this evening one of the candidates, Kyle Retallack. Retallack. You're right, I screwed it up. Anyway, Kyle, welcome. So you've been living in Beverly all your life.
Yes.
And you're with the Airport Commission now?
Yes, I've been appointed chair of the Beverly Airport Commission.
Yeah. And how'd you get into that job?
So my grandfather was a pilot, and his health started declining, and he wanted me to become a pilot, and I really wanted to become a pilot, and so I just decided one day I'm going to start flying lessons. And so I went for it, and on his deathbed, I got to tell him that I got my license.
Oh, okay.
And when you get into that aviation community, it's a very close community. There's only about 600,000 pilots in all of the United States, and so it's a very close group. And then there was a need for commissioners, and I thought it would be a great way to give back and help the airport out.
Yeah.
And I did not know what I was getting into. And and then shortly after, I was appointed chair of the Airport Commission and found that being in that position and being able to help in that capacity was something I really, really loved.
Oh, yeah.
And
you like being the flag catcher.
I do. I don't know what's wrong with me, but for some reason, hearing from the pilots, from the tower, from the residents, working with the management has been incredible. So,
Yeah. Well, let's play it in a slightly different game. Suppose you were a real estate agent and you were showing a house to a couple that were thinking of buying here. How would you describe the benefits of Beverly?
oh my gosh, the list is, I feel endless. I think the best part about Beverly is the community itself. Is like, I've lived in California, I've lived in Maine, I've lived in Rhode Island, I've tested many other cities, and there is nothing like Beverly.
Yeah.
And just the way people treat each other, walking through Stop and Shop and bumping into somebody you know and meeting new people, and just the way everything flows together, the way that all the different, like the Beverly 400 and all these different things, it's just such a unique place. Just I live in Ryleside, and the 4th of July parade, we brought our friends from Rhode Island up, and they could not believe how the community is up here, and it was mind-blowing to them that how we function.
Yeah, it's a small town city.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
And try another variation. Suppose you were trying to convince some business to relocate here. How would you describe Beverly to a business firm?
Well, I mean, we are an incredibly up-and-coming city and have been for over 20 years. I feel like when I grew up here in the 90s, it wasn't the greatest area. Rantoul Street was not a pretty sight. The development that's gone into the city has really been incredible, and and we have an airport. So if you are a big business, a tech company, anything like that, we have Cherry Hill, and we have an airport and a robust downtown that is really thriving and exploding, I feel like.
Yeah. So going along that same line, that now that you're going to be on the city council, what do you think the real challenges of the city are?
Yeah, that's tough, because I feel like people want to run on infrastructure and all these different selling points that candidates will have. I feel like being chair of the airport, you have an idea going in, and once you get behind the scenes, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
So I think there's certain points that I want to work on: family, schools, infrastructure, all those things. But I think that once you get into the thick of it and you get to hear from the people on a daily basis as a counselor, I think that's really when you'll be able to find out what you can do as a counselor at large.
Well, you obviously been out gathering signatures going around the whole city.
I actually have not yet.
Not yet?
No. Out of respect for the special election, well, I shouldn't say respect, but my choice is I want to let the special election happen. We've got a couple weeks left.
Oh, okay.
And when that settles,
Don't want to compete with that.
I want to have a more relaxed campaign and enjoy every moment of it.
Okay.
And
Well, you mentioned before the show that there's a lot of concerns about noise at the airport, but other than that, Beverly's got some other challenges. I mean, we've had a contentious year coming into it with the teacher strike, the cost overruns, the expense of the library. That's a surprise for the city council. It started out at $3 million to overhaul the AC system.
Yep.
Next thing, it became $18 million, and the renovation of the city hall has been $18 million, $25 million, $34.8 million, back to 25. And after the teacher strike was over, city council got a bill for $800,000 for extra expenses. So there's a lot going on, and I guess what's your take on how do we manage all these costs and at the same time keep the real estate taxes within reason?
yeah, it's really tough. And again, it comes down to being behind the scenes and actually being able to open up what's going on, behind closed doors and what's happening truthfully. And I think that there's a lot of news that comes out that isn't maybe 100% correct, or it leans one way or the other to make the story look worse or better than it is. So I think when we look at some things like the teacher strike, which was a horrible thing, my son's in kindergarten and he happened to be sick the first week of November, and then almost 3-week teacher strike for the rest of November. So he missed almost the entire month of November. And so that affected me greatly on a daily basis. And so I can't speak to it because I wasn't a part of the negotiating team. I wasn't behind any of that, but I know it was a terrible thing for everyone. And getting into the seat of an at-large position, I have a really good knack at figuring out how to make things work like I have been at the airport. And I think my skill set will really help the city out a lot in that aspect.
What's your day job?
So I'm a dad during the day, and I'm a voice actor at night. I also do handyman work and odd jobs. But I mainly try to work at night so that I can take my son to school every day, pick him up every day, help out at the library, the book fairs this week. I just want to make sure that I'm around, and then the airport is my other passion.
Yeah.
And then counselor at large will be another passion that I can do, and thankfully those meetings are in the evening, and that works with my schedule very well.
Okay. Well, you said you handyman jobs. You don't do them at night, obviously.
No. More, during the day here and there, as needed. By I have a group of people that call on me when needed. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you're going to be counselor at large. What do you think that job entails?
I think it entails a lot. I think we're going to be listening. I know I'm not a ward counselor, so the counselor at large is not as much constituent work, but I love talking with people, and I love meeting new people, and I love going to all the events in Beverly, and I love being around, and I think that's going to be a big part of it, is listening and doing due diligence on every topic that comes across the table.
Well, there's, like I mentioned, there's a lot of contentious issues going around that they're money issues.
Yes.
And one of the discussion points is in order to afford the teachers' increases and the increases in salary for the para professionals, we're going to have to cut back on sidewalks and street work. That's one of the big hits, I guess, with most people that I can remember going to one of these lobster fests at Lynch Park years ago, and it was so old that it was an alderman at large, no less, that I ran into, and he had just retired to Florida, and he came back down to see his friends and see what's going on, and he mentioned, hey, you know, you're in Beverly when the car starts to bounce. So condition of the roads and the sidewalks is going to be an issue. And so I'm guessing, you know, these are the kinds of concerns you're going to get from the whole city.
Yes.
So it's more than just noise at the airport.
Yep.
And I guess the question is, what's your take on how you're going to balance things like that versus you got an interest with the quality of education, so therefore, you know, what's the point in your mind of where should we balance the budget on in terms of how much money does the school get, how much money does structures get? There's another issue about it's time to do the roofs again on all the elementary schools. So
Yep.
there's always these ongoing projects, and there's a lot more demands for the money than there is money.
Yes.
So where do you think the priorities ought to be? And at the same time, we've got a city with a significant senior population that there was a bill passed or ordinance passed to put a little bit of restraint on the real estate tax for seniors, but how much farther can something like that go? So what's your take on all of this?
Well, I mean, that was a lot right there.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
it's a big city.
It is. It is.
A lot of
think,
problems.
I think one issue is that thinking is that all of our money comes from one place. Like we have one large enterprise fund and we only have so many millions of dollars in that fund to take care of everything. And I don't, again, it's once you get into that position and be able to really dissect what's going on. But I know from the airport that money comes from the state, from the feds, from our own income that we generate. And I think, you know, I'm not on the council. I've never been on the council, so I don't know how it works specifically with the city. But I think it probably works similar as we get federal funds, state funds, and our own income from taxes and leases and whatnot. So I think that depending on where that money is coming from and what it can be allocated for is what we'll prioritize. So I think that, you know, roads and sidewalks probably comes mostly from state funding. And other things come from other areas. So I think, again, getting into it, I'll be able to figure out more and where the priorities can lie. And then that also has us rely on the mayor and all of the administration in the city. And that's why everybody's been appointed, is so we as a commission or a council can fall on those people to present the facts and what they feel is a priority, and then take the 30,000-foot view and try to piece that around so we can make the right decision.
That gets into be some of these issues like recently it came up that there's a lot of water meters that are not functioning.
Yes, I've heard about that.
And the plan right now is take them all out and replace all the water meters.
Yep.
And okay, that sounds like a significant task, but it's going to show up with a significant hit on the water bill because the cost is going to be somehow or other inflicted on the ratepayers. And one of my concerns, I guess, is that, how come we had so many water meters out of commission? Why weren't they replaced? And get into some of these issues like that, and I'm not sure that, at least from what I see in the paper, and back to your point earlier, that the story gets written differently than what you really would want. But from my perspective, why didn't they replace the meters when they failed? So,
it's a great question.
So so I get into those kind of issues, and it's my priority and my way of thinking. So what I'm trying to get at is, when you're on the airport commission, if somebody comes in complaining about noise or whatever else they complain about, or they can't get landing rights, or they can't get space in the hangar or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm guessing at what the issues are. How do you reach a conclusion that, yeah, he's got a legitimate bitch, or no, that guy's off his track, and politely wish him good luck someplace else, So
well,
how do you work that?
Thankfully, there are laws and bylaws and guidelines that we have to follow. So at the airport, we say when the wheels come off the ground, we have no jurisdiction. The manager, myself, as the chair of the commission, we have no jurisdiction over once the plane takes off. That's all FAA.
Yeah.
So when it pertains to the city, there's bylaws and laws, and everything is kind of, for the most part, set in place, and we can change policy and implement new policy. And I think the biggest issue that I see is that people don't show up. So yourself, if you're having an issue and you sit at home and read the paper and you complain about it to your friends and your family and do a YouTube channel or whatever you may do with that information that you've digested, if you don't show up to the first and third Monday of the month at City Hall and hear what's actually happening from the horse's mouth and get that information for yourself, or complain. You can sign up to speak and ask questions. And I think like Todd Rotundo has his cell phone out. You can call him at any time or text him. If people don't complain, if people don't talk or ask questions, the people in City Hall don't know what's going on. They don't know if something's wrong, and they can't work with you to fix it. So if you don't show up to the show, you're not going to know what's going on. So I feel like if there's more interaction with City Hall and the meetings and reaching out, I think that will alleviate a lot of issues in the city.
Well, you brought up a good point that Todd Rotundo has his cell phone number posted.
Yeah.
And he'll take calls day and night.
Yep.
He's very good at that.
He is.
That's one approach. Showing up every first and third gets to be kind of tedious, especially when you see what I've been through a couple of those meetings, and okay, when are we going to get to something real? When they read the letters and all that, and some guy wants to get his license extended to sell popcorn on the corner or whatever else it is. I mean, these are not what I consider earth-shaking issues that I'm going to sit there and jump all over it.
But those are the earth-shaking issues for the city, because for that popcorn vendor, that's his livelihood for the summer. Or whatever license needs to be extended, that's the groundbreaking stuff that's happening. And sometimes it's fireworks and exciting and things are happening, and other times it's a little bit quieter. But that's I love every bit of every one of those issues, and I'm just so attracted to tackling every one of those. It's just something about it is very interesting and exciting to me, whether it's a popcorn vendor or new HVAC at the library.
Yeah. Okay, so basically we get down to the point of It's your turn to talk to the audience,
All
your
right.
camera. Make your spiel.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Again, my name's Kyle Retallack. I'm running for Councilor at Large. And I look at Beverly as one giant family. Some of your family members you don't get along with, some you do, you agree, you disagree. But Beverly is a big family, and we really need to come together and figure out how to live life together and live in this amazing city together. And I think that I can help. I love ideas from both sides of the parties, and I think that we can all work together and make this an incredible city, even better than it already is. The progress from when I grew up in the 90s to now is incredible. So I really look forward to the election and campaigning and meeting everybody out at Lobster Fest and all the events coming up. So please, if you don't vote for me, at least show up and vote for someone. And that's the most important thing, I think, is showing up. Come to the city council meetings, come to airport commission meetings. Please show up and vote, whether it's for me or for Keith or for Julie, anybody else. Just show up and be a part of this incredible city. So thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Kyle, for showing up tonight.
Thank you.
And I appreciate it and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll have more discussions with candidates. And as I mentioned, if you've got a comment, my email address is at the front of the credits and at the tail end of the credits. Send me a note. And if you have a longer comment, I'll make room for you here at the table. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.